Imagine walking into your child's school, heart pounding, only to be told you're not a fit mother. Not because you don't love your child. Not because you don't provide for them. But because of the color of your skin and the assumptions tied to it. That's exactly what happened to Monica Lewis. A hardworking black mother who sacrificed everything for her little boy. But the moment she stepped foot into his school office, the teachers and administrators didn't see a parent. They saw a stereotype. What they didn't know, however, was that Monica wasn't just any mother. She held a job title that would flip this entire story upside down. And when it came out, their tone changed instantly. This is the story of how a black mother was called unfit by her son's school, and how her quiet strength exposed the deep-rooted biases hiding behind classroom doors. Monica Lewis was a single mother raising her 10-year-old son, Jaden, in a suburban town just outside Atlanta. She worked long hours, often late nights, but everything she did was for him. Every morning, she made sure Jaden had a hot breakfast. Every evening, no matter how exhausted she was, she sat with him to review his homework. She wanted her son to have the best chance in life, chances she was denied growing up. Jaden was a bright, curious boy. But being one of the few black students at his predominantly white school wasn't easy. Kids sometimes mocked his hair, his skin, or the way he spoke. Monica taught him to hold his head high. But behind the scenes, trouble was brewing. It started small. One day, Jaden came home with a note tucked into his backpack. Jaden has been unfocused in class. We recommend a parent-teacher meeting. Monica thought nothing of it at first. Kids had off days. But when she sat down with the teacher, something felt off. The teacher, a middle-aged woman with a tight smile, leaned across the desk and said, "Jaden seems distracted. Does he have a stable home life?" The question stung. Stable home life? Monica calmly explained she worked full-time and was a single mother, but she provided everything Jaden needed. The teacher nodded politely, but her eyes told a different story. Judgment. Condescension. Monica brushed it off. Maybe she was being sensitive. But then, the calls started coming more frequently. Jaden talks too much in class. Jaden forgot to bring a pencil. Jaden didn't finish his worksheet fast enough. Each call seemed trivial, but the tone was alarming. It wasn't about helping Jaden succeed. It was about painting him as a problem. Then came the breaking point. One afternoon, Monica received a voicemail from the school principal. "We have concerns about Jaden's well-being. We need to discuss whether your home environment is suitable." Her hands trembled as she replayed the message. Unsuitable? Unfit? They were questioning her ability to be a mother. A week later, Monica was summoned to the school for a formal meeting. When she entered the conference room, the air was thick with judgment. Seated around the table were Jaden's teacher, the school counselor, and the principal. From the moment she sat down, their language was loaded with bias. Jaden seems to lack structure. He needs more discipline. Sometimes, children from certain backgrounds struggle. Certain backgrounds. Monica knew exactly what they meant. She listened quietly, her heart burning, as they hinted that she might not be capable of raising her son. At one point, the counselor even suggested Child Protective Services could step in if needed. That was the final straw. For weeks, Monica had endured their disrespect in silence. But in that moment, she realized something. They had no idea who she was. So she leaned forward, her voice calm but firm. "Before you say another word about my fitness as a mother, let me introduce myself properly. My name is Dr. Monica Lewis. I am a licensed child psychologist with 15 years of experience. I've worked with hundreds of families, many in crisis far beyond anything you've described here. And I've published research on child development that your own district has cited in training manuals." The room fell silent. The teacher's mouth dropped open. The counselor shifted uncomfortably in his chair. The principal blinked, suddenly unsure of his words. Monica continued, "So when you imply that my son's behavior is a reflection of my parenting, you're not just insulting me as a mother. You're dismissing my professional expertise. And worse, you're targeting my child because of the color of his skin." The silence grew heavier. Suddenly, their tone shifted. The condescension was gone. replaced with nervous smiles, awkward apologies, and backpedaling. "Oh, Dr. Lewis, of course, we didn't mean. We value your perspective. Perhaps we could work together on strategies for Jaden." Word spread quickly. Teachers who once dismissed Jaden suddenly treated him with exaggerated politeness. The principal, who had threatened to call CPS, now went out of his way to praise Monica for her partnership. But the damage was already done. Jaden had seen how they looked at his mother before they knew her title. He had heard the tone in their voices, the judgment in their words. And Monica knew this wasn't just about her. If she hadn't had the title of doctor in front of her name, if she hadn't had credentials they respected, they would have continued to label her unfit. How many other black mothers faced the same judgment every day, without the shield of a professional title? Monica didn't stop at defending herself. She wrote a formal complaint to the school board, documenting every biased comment, every unnecessary phone call, every time her son was singled out. She also shared her experience at a local parents' forum. Her story resonated with other families of color who shared their own experiences of subtle and not so subtle racism in the school system. The board launched an internal review. The principal was quietly reassigned. The teacher was placed under observation, and new sensitivity training programs were rolled out across the district. It wasn't perfect, but it was a start. And for Monica, the sweetest justice wasn't the board's response. It was watching her son walk across the stage at his 5th grade graduation, proud and confident, knowing his mother had fought for him. This story isn't just about Monica. It's about every parent who has been doubted because of their race. Every child labeled problematic before being given a fair chance. Every family who has had to work twice as hard just to be seen as good enough. Monica's story reminds us that bias doesn't always come in shouting or slurs. Sometimes it comes in polite voices, hidden behind professional titles, slipped into sentences like certain backgrounds. But her story also shows the power of dignity, of refusing to be silent, and of using one's voice and title to demand respect. Because when Monica spoke her truth, she didn't just change the tone in that room. She exposed the quiet racism sitting behind those desks. And she showed her son, and every parent listening, that no one has the right to call you unfit when you know your worth. So the next time someone underestimates you, ask yourself, what would happen if they finally knew the truth about who you really are? Monica's story is just one reminder of how bias and racism can show up in everyday places, even where our children are supposed to feel safe. But it's also proof that strength, dignity, and resilience will always expose the truth. If you found this story powerful, don't forget to like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe to Melanin Chronicles for more untold stories of injustice, resilience, and resistance. Because here, we don't just tell stories, we reclaim them.